Hello guys and welcome back or welcome to my channel. Today is going to be a ranking of all 7 Harry Potter books, and no, I'm not including the Cursed Child on this one. If you're new here, then please don't forget to subscribe if you want to for more Harry Potter videos every week, and click that notification bell so that you don't miss anything from me. If you want to, feel free to follow me on all my social medias, which will be linked in the description below. So without further ado, let's get into this. Okay, so my least favourite book of the series is actually the first book. There's a few reasons why. Honestly, I've read this a billion times, but there are things that I don't like about it. So here we go. So I know this is the first book, and this is going to be an issue for most first books. But I always feel like this book is a bit exposition heavy. You do have to introduce the whole Wizarding World, the whole system, how everything works. But the issue I have most with is that the start of the book, I'd say up to Diagon Alley, is quite slow paced. And so, yeah, things happen like the letters and the snake at the zoo. But personally, every time I reread these books, I kind of just skip those chapters and go straight to Diagon Alley. I'm sorry. I don't skip chapter 1 though. I do like chapter 1. But I tend to skip the middle part of that because I just find it a bit slow paced. And I guess the first time you're reading it, it's cool because you don't know anything and you need the setup. But after you've read it as many times as I have, and as many times as most of you probably have, it gets a bit, I've heard this before, I know what happens, let's get to Diagon Alley already. So I know this isn't really a big deal, but I really wanted to see more Quirrell lessons. We only see one, and it's very vague, and usually they just talk about how useless he is as a teacher, and how scared he is of his own shadow. And I know that there's a reason that they don't focus on Quirrell, because the mystery at the end, spoiler alert, but I just don't know. I wanted more Quirrell lessons. I wanted to learn more about him. We see a lot of every other teacher in every other book teaching Defense Against Dark Arts. Well, except definitely Hallows, but yeah. I love the troll scene just like anyone else might do, but the thing about the troll scene is that I think after that, and they've cemented their friendship with Hermione, it just seems like Hermione isn't in it as much as she should be. She does go off for the holidays for Christmas, so it's just Ron and Harry again. And I just feel like maybe they rushed a little bit with the Hermione bonding thing. I think they do it a bit better in book 2. Norbert the Norwegian Ridgeback. Okay, I love Norbert. I do love Norbert. He's adorable, he's really cute, but I just don't know. I don't really see the necessity for that storyline, apart from getting Harry into trouble, which means he has to go to the Forbidden Forest, if I'm right. Okay, things I really loved about this book. The twist at the end is great, and every time you reread the book, you can spot more, clues to that fact that Quirrell was the guy all along, like, not doing any favours for Ravenclaw, sorry dude. I love the opening chapter. It sets the Dursleys up really well as these boring, middling people that are just sort of average, very small-minded, and then the completely whimsical Dumbledore and Daedalus Diggle just coming up to him and hugging him, like, that's crazy. You got to see Dumbledore talking to McGonagall about Harry, you get to see Hagrid. Sirius is name dropped in the first book, and I didn't notice it for years. My heart was full of love at that moment when I realised. Like I said, I tend to skip to the Diagon Alley chapters. I love the Diagon Alley chapters. They're just wonderful. I just think they're great. Any Diagon Alley chapter ever in any book is wonderful, and especially the first time we see it, because that cements the magical world for me. That's when I really fell in love with the book. The mirror scenes are also a favourite of mine. They're just so emotionally charged, and every single time they just pull on my heartstrings and make me think about life a bit more. And it's one of the deepest moments, I think, when Harry sees his parents in the mirror, not gaining anything, nothing like that, just seeing his parents. That's one of the deepest, most profound things in all the series. I love the tasks in the trapdoors because they show off each of the trio's individual skills. Ron, it was the chess. Harry, it was the keys. Hermione was really sort of devil's snare and the potions room, which I wish was in the films, by the way. I just think it was a really nice touch. Okay, one last thing for book 1 was Firenze. I want more Firenze. I love Firenze, like, whew. I don't know, I just really like that centaur. So, I liked seeing him, and I liked that he comes back in later books. Goblet of Fire. I've heard this is also J.K. Rowling's least favourite book that she wrote, and there are some issues with it. I have quite a few actually, but I do still love this book, just not as much, and I tend not to read it as often because it's just, well, it's really big for one. In my opinion, I just think that the Goblet of Fire is just so slow. I just think that the pace, despite all the things going on, is really, 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 really slow. It just seems like you've got this big old tournament going on, and you've got these tasks, but it takes like 6 months. Okay, maybe not 6 months, but it takes like a good few months between each task, and so you've got a lot of filler and stuff going on, and I just think the plot can be a bit convoluted sometimes. She had a lot to put into this one. She had a lot of plot points to start weaving in, and so it felt very, very confusing, and I just wasn't really sold on this book. I'm not really a fan of the maze task, despite it showing off Harry and Cedric working together, because as a spectator, you can't see anything, you're just sitting there. Imagine just sitting in this stand, and it's supposed to be really exciting, but all you can see is a hedge, like loads of hedges, and you're waiting there for an hour, just like, bit cloudy today, isn't it? You know, why would anyone want to watch that? And I know that for Harry it's super intense, but I don't know, the maze isn't my favourite task. I don't know what Harry sees in Cho in this book, but it just seemed weird that he suddenly had this crush on Cho, which I know was sort of foreshadowed and hinted at in Prisoner of Azkaban when he thought that she was pretty. But, I don't know, like, I would have just gone with my friends. I would have liked more Barty Crouch Jr. in this book. I find him really fascinating, and I would have liked, like, 10 chapters of him explaining everything about his plan. And he played Moody so convincingly, it was mad. There's something that really bugs me in this book is, I know Rita Skeeter is very good at journalism, and that she can twist a story and sensationalise and all that good journalistic stuff, but I just feel like, why did Molly actually believe that Hermione was trying to hurt Harry's feelings and, you know, messing around with Crumb and hurting Harry's feelings? But I just think it was out of character for her to be so mean to Hermione. Okay, for the things I like about this book, I love the Yule Ball. I think the Yule Ball's so much fun. Even though I hate it when they fight, I thought that the Ron and Harry dynamic when they were fighting was really well done. It made me very uncomfortable, and that was the point. We have to know that these three don't really function as well when they're not working together. This book is quite funny, especially when Ron's trying to talk to Fleur, and when Harry's like, "Wanna go ball with me?" "I'm sorry, I didn't catch that." I love the opening chapter of this book, The Riddle House. It was really well written. It was a bit weird not having it from Harry's point of view again, but I loved it. I loved hearing Voldemort talk to Wormtail. Cedric is lovely. Victor Crumb and Hermione were actually kind of sweet. Dobby and the Hats. I love Dobby and the Hats. It's so funny. The Tun Tong Toffee. The Tun Tong Toffee. The scene where Dudley's tongue swells up. That was funny. I love it every time. Just go Weasley twins. And Rita Skeeter. I mean, I hate her, but I love her. Order of the Phoenix. So this book started off crazy, 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 go, 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 let's do this. Dementor attacks, everything. And then all of a sudden it kind of slowed down, and we had a lot of chapters at the Grimmauld Place, tidying up. It was really nice to have so much serious, but it just felt like it literally went on forever until we got back to Hogwarts, and we all know that Hogwarts is where the real magic is. Angry Harry, I like Angry Harry because it's completely understandable that he would be very, very angry, and I'm pretty sure he's traumatized too, so it's not easy to live as this 15-year-old boy that's seen so much death and heartache in his life. But when he's obsessing over news, constantly, it really annoys me. He's like, Daily Prophet this, Daily Prophet that, news, where's the news? And I'm just like, Harry, please, just chill out. I know that Dumbledore being distant in this was actually, supposed to be a thing. It's a plot device, but I didn't like it very much. Grawp, I just don't really see the point of Grawp. I like him, but things I love about this book are the various social criticisms, like the education system in the UK and how corrupt it can be, and how it's all about standardized testing and not about actually doing stuff. I love the political statements that this book makes, and there's very many of them. And then you get into eugenics and Nazi ideals, like the pureblood thing. It's crazy. I love that. We've got journalism and how it only seeks its own ends and not really what people are doing. It doesn't tell the truth. There are so many good social criticisms in this book that it's crazy. Dudley Demented is one of my favourite chapters ever of Harry Potter, and I love Arabella Figg, how you just wait, that's the cat lady from book 1. What? Obviously, I really like the twins' escape from Hogwarts. So good. I love how all the teachers are in on it and just gang up on Umbridge. Hermione's really proactive in this book. She takes charge. She literally creates Dumbledore's army, kind of. And I love her for that. Harry as a teacher is great. He should have become a teacher. I mean, Aura is fine, but he really enjoyed teaching as well. So Harry as a teacher was A+. I love to hate Umbridge. She's awful, but she's very, very well written. So Umbridge is a plus, kind of. Snape's memory of James. Ooh, loved it. Loved it. It really shook up my thoughts of James Potter, and I'm sure it did with everyone. We all thought he was noble all the time, but he was not. There's a lot of Sirius in this book. I mean, until he dies. Luna! We meet Luna, we meet Luna, we meet Luna! That's always great. The battle at the Department of Mysteries, great. Of course, that also goes into seeing the Ministry for the first time. Was so good. The fountain and everything, the way the Ministry worked, it was really fun. Prefect Ron and Hermione, great. And more Ginny, also great. Book 7. I basically mostly don't like this book just because it's the last book and I didn't want Harry Potter to end. I didn't want it to end. Bill and Fleur's wedding, meh. It was fine. I really love Bill and Fleur, but I didn't really care for the wedding much. The Dark Lord Ascending, it was fine. I like it, but it just really disturbed me, a lot. Ron leaving always makes me sad, but it's not really a negative to say, it just really makes me sad. I love the 7 Potters, that was great, so much fun. I don't think I need to say much about that, especially when Fred and George turned into Harry. Saying goodbye to the Dursleys was really interesting scenes. Petunia is all I can say. Petunia. It was nice to see Griphook again, who I'd completely forgotten about until this book, and I was like, who's Griphook again? Ollivander, same, it was nice to see him. I like the epilogue. I know loads of people think it's cheesy. I know a lot of people that I know personally think it's cheesy, but I liked it. I think Harry deserved a happy ending. I really like Narcissa in that book. Very sweet. really touched me when she thought of Harry and thought, well, if this was my son, what would I do? Beautiful. Chamber of Secrets. Chamber of Secrets is a book that I tend to reread a lot, and I listen to it a lot as well. Because it was one of the first in the series, it is a little bit childish, and the story is a bit more basic. That's fine. It's cool. They're 12-year-olds. Valentine's Day. Like, it was pretty much pointless. It was pretty much pointless, but it was also hilarious. I love Ginny's singing telegram. His eyes are as green as a fresh pickled toad. His hair is as dark as a blackboard. I wish he was mine, he's really divine. The hero who conquered the Dark Lord. I like the foreshadowing of how characters that you come to love will end up being hurt. It was subtle in this because we were still in the very light phases of the books, but Hermione and Ginny almost basically dying was a very big hint that people will be gone that we love in these series, and it was very well handled. The diary itself is fascinating. I love it. It reminds me of kind of beware of internet chat rooms because you don't know who you're talking to kind of thing. Love the Death Day party every time. Myrtle, love Myrtle. The Burrow, seeing the Weasley clan coming together, how they work as a unit and a family, loved it. Every time. Gilderoy Lockhart and the commentary on fame and being shallow and vanity. I always love reading the final battle between the Basilisk, Harry, and Tom Riddle, Half-Blood Prince. So I found it really hard actually to think of things that I disliked about this book. So if I have to come up with some cons, maybe Lavender and Cormac are cons, like they're really irritating, very irritating, but I still like them. They're just funny. Also, Harry and Ginny, I always felt when I read that book that it's a little bit forced, but I do love Harry's perspective on finding her attractive. I'm not a guy, so I don't know if Harry's perspective is very accurate, but I still enjoyed reading it. Things I loved. The memories that Dumbledore found and showed Harry of Tom Riddle as a young boy, the gaunts, everything. I love that. I think that's the highlight of the books for me. I love Ron being a keeper, yay! Slughorn is really great, flawed Slytherin character that isn't awful, so yes. Weasley's Wizard Wheezes, love it. Draco, everything about the Draco thing, great. Also, I love him and Myrtle. Like, I find it really interesting that she bonded so well with Draco. It was really sweet. I love that the Vanishing Cabinet and the opal necklaces that were seen in Borgin and Burke's came back in this book. It blew my mind. So, Ferenzi is in this book, isn't he? I think he is. I love him anyway, and I loved that he came back in at least one of the books and how all the girls were fangirling over him. And on to my favourite book of this series, The Prisoner of Azkaban. To me, it is the second best written book in the series. I think the first best written book in the series, probably Half-Blood Prince, but this book comes close second. The Night Bus makes no sense. You're supposed to raise your wand hand, stick it out, and then the bus finds you. But what if you just happen to hold your arm up? Would the Night Bus just turn up? And then you'd have to go on it because you're a stranded witch or wizard? Wizards aren't good with logic. Ron and Hermione arguing, it really got on my nerves. It really, really did. I did not like that in this book, Hermione seemed to be very put down by the boys. The boys just sort of were always so mean to her. Like, Hermione, why did you take my broom to McGonagall when all she was doing was trying to help? Malfoy in this book was a bit flat. I didn't think he was that interesting in this book at all. He's just the textbook villain in this one, I feel like, in a way. I love Lupin a lot, and you can find out about why in my top 10 wizards, which is up there. I love Trelawney, funny, fraud. I love the reveal about what happened with Snape and James. That was really interesting. Hogsmeade Village is great. I'd love to go there. I love that the Whomping Willow is the Shrieking Shack. Like, that was the big thing for me. I was like, wow, she's so smart. Patronuses is another amazing thing, and they forever changed the series in my opinion. The last few chapters, especially in the Shrieking Shack and after that, brilliant. But especially the chapter of when they're in the Shrieking Shack and they reveal everything about what was going on throughout the year. Of course, I can't not talk about my husband Sirius. Brilliant, beautiful, so charming. Sorry, getting distracted. Harry's threat to the Dursleys about Sirius being a mass murderer and being his godfather was so good. And that is my ranking for the Harry Potter books. I have made like 1 million notes for this, and my brain is about to explode with all of them. So I'd encourage you guys to have a think about what you liked about the books, which order that they come in, from least to most favourite. And then let me know in the comments and we can maybe start a discussion. That is all for today, guys. If you enjoyed this video and you're not subscribed, please feel free to subscribe. Give it a thumbs up. And I'll see you next time, guys. Goodbye.